Hi friends, I'm Denise. Welcome back to my channel, and I'm a queer homemaker, and whoever you are and whatever you believe, I want you to know that this is a safe space for you. So welcome back to my kitchen. We just finished putting up our Christmas tree, and I'm going to do a little bit of baking. I have a bunch of pumpkin puree left over from my getting pumpkin puree from a whole pumpkin video, which was quite an adventure if you watched that one. So I want to use some of that up to make some pumpkin bread, and then I'm also going to get started on dinner for us tonight, which is going to be a sausage jambalaya made the quick and easy way. So come along and join me for today's baking, and if I have time, I will also be going out in the garden and doing a little bit of winter cleanup as the plants are starting to die, and I have some last few tomatoes that need to be harvested. All right, let's go ahead and get started. First thing we're going to do is preheat the oven to 350. And we're going to spray our pan with some nonstick spray. This is my pumpkin puree that I made. I think I have like 5 or 6 of these little tubs that I really need to use up, but it's frozen solid. I didn't think ahead on this. I need about 2 cups of pumpkin puree, which I feel like maybe is about this amount. So I'm just going to pop it in the microwave and heat it up real quick. I don't love heating things up in plastic because we are trying to avoid that these days, but you know, sometimes you're in a pinch and you just got to make do. I am loving using a scale for baking these days because it really does make it a lot more accurate, especially when you're dealing with flour. And by the way, the recipe I'm using today is by Sally's Baking Addiction, who I hear is the OG baker to follow. People love her, so I'm excited to use her recipe today. We need 219 grams. Just gonna start throwing it in here. Oop, we went a little over. There we go, 219. A teaspoon of baking soda. 2 teaspoons cinnamon, and a teaspoon pumpkin pie spice, and 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. Just gonna guesstimate here. Okay, now we're gonna mix the wet ingredients. I have these eggs just in a bowl of warm water because I was trying to get them to room temperature as the recipe calls for. 2 eggs. Half a cup granulated sugar. 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar. And 340 grams of pumpkin puree. I'm going to use grams because this is a little bit watery because it was frozen before. So I want to make sure I'm adding the right amount. And to heat this up or to unfreeze it, all I did was pop it in the microwave and kept stirring it about every 1 minute until it defrosted all the way. I think it took about 3 or 4 minutes total. So it wasn't too bad, and I think I am going to use pretty much all of it. That's 344, so I won't add any more, but if you have any ideas of what I can do with the rest of this, let me know. Now we're going in with half a cup of oil and a 1/4 cup of milk or orange juice. I don't have any orange juice, so we're going with milk today. And then we're just gonna whisk this. I think actually I was supposed to wait to add the pumpkin, but it's okay. I haven't made pumpkin bread in so long, which is crazy because I love it. Like, I love pumpkin bread. I used to make it every year It was one of my favorite things to make, one of my favorite things to order at Starbucks if I went. But now I have like so much pumpkin, so hopefully I will be making a lot of pumpkin bread again, or other pumpkin treats. And hopefully this pumpkin turns out well, because they were carving pumpkins. They weren't specifically made to be eaten. They're not harmful to be eaten. I looked it up and made sure, but they just might not taste as good as like a pumpkin puree that was, you know, grown from a pumpkin that was meant to be eaten, or a pumpkin out of your own garden. But I feel like it's better than the pumpkin going to waste, and probably with all this sugar and stuff in here, you won't notice the taste. But we'll see. I'll let you guys know how it turns out. Okay, we're gonna mix these together, being careful not to over mix. I've really been enjoying getting into baking again, because it's been a while since I baked. I used to bake a lot as a kid and a teenager, and then I sort of got out of doing it and was busy, and now that I'm at home a lot more and have a lot more time to be spending making things homemade, it's really great to be able to make things from scratch and just enjoy baking on a cozy Saturday afternoon, which is great. Okay, I'm gonna call that mixed, as we don't want to overmix, and they say it's okay if it's a little lumpy. And we're just gonna pour this into our pan. Hope this isn't too much batter for this pan. We're gonna have a nice fluffy loaf. Nothing wrong with that. Did you guys lick the bowl as a kid? Because I totally did, and nothing bad ever happened to me. But I feel like when I have kids, I like will be too nervous to let them lick the bowl, which I feel kind of sad. I'm like, oh, it's such a good childhood experience, but also I don't want them to get salmonella. Let me know if you licked the bowl as a kid and how you came out. All right, let's put this in the oven, and we're gonna bake for 60 minutes or so. It says to start checking it at about the 55-minute mark. And while that's baking, I'm just going to clean up a little bit, and then we're gonna get started on my quick and easy jambalaya. So these are the ingredients you'll need for the jambalaya, and this is one of my favorite recipes to make because it's quick, it's easy, and I don't even need a recipe for it. I can just throw everything together, and it's flexible depending on what you have available. And also, this is a one-pot recipe, which definitely makes it a winner in my book. I have my andouille sausage here. You can use any type of sausage you have. And we're gonna start by cooking this up over the stove. You want a pot that you have a lid with. Quick tip, if you wanna cut sausage up quick, just use scissors. So we're just gonna cut this into like some rounds. Try to make them all around the same size, but don't stress about it. I love using scissors when I don't feel like getting my cutting board out and washing it, which, let's be honest, is most of the time. I'm not sure I need all this sausage, but Grace does like meat, so I'll use a decent amount of it. And I've got the pot going over medium-high heat right now. I'm not going to add any oil because this is pork sausage. It should have a lot of fat in it already. But if you're using like a turkey sausage, you probably want to add some oil to the pot. I also like to add beans to this. I don't have any cooked beans today. I have some beans that need to be cooked, but I don't have any canned beans or anything, so I'm not going to put any beans in today. But basically, you have your meat. You add some bell peppers, some onion, garlic, beans if you want, and anything else you want. You can add some shrimp to this, and then you cook it up according to the package instructions. Super easy. And to save time, I like to use frozen bell peppers and frozen onions. We're gonna let that start browning up before we move on to the veggies. Just gonna let that sit for a while, and I've got some dishes to do. Okay, the sausage has some nice color on it now. I did end up adding a tiny splash of oil, just some canola oil to help it brown up a little better. I'm gonna set this aside and then I'm gonna cook up my frozen veggies. Okay, I've got some frozen diced onion that I just kept from another onion. Gonna add that. We're gonna add about half this bag of pepper strips. This is 14 ounces. And of course, feel free to use fresh vegetables if you have them. And also I have this crushed garlic cubes that are really handy to use when I'm just trying to make dinner really fast. So we're gonna pop a couple of these cubes in there. And we'll just let this cook down and let some of that water evaporate. I'm gonna turn the heat up a little bit. So if you're using frozen vegetables like I am, frozen things release extra water when they're heated up. So you're gonna see that it's gonna be pretty watery. There's a couple things you can do. You can either let it cook off all the way, or you can just lessen the amount of lessen the amount of water that you add into the box mix, which I think is what I'm gonna do, just to save some time. I also lessen the amount of water because there's some water in this tomatoes that I'm gonna add, and I'm not draining these. So let's go ahead and add our 14.5 ounce can of diced tomatoes with the juice. And then we're gonna add the box and the spices. Dump this in. And then it calls for 2.5 cups of water. I think I'm going to add 2 cups of water. Maybe 1 3/4 cups of water. And then if it gets dry, I'll just add some more. So you just want to stir this up and bring it to a boil, and then we're going to simmer it covered for 25 minutes once it starts boiling. Oh, and let me not forget to add back in our meat, of course. Don't want to forget that. This sausage is really good. I think I'll be buying this brand again. Yeah, we're just going to let this come to a boil and simmer for about 25 minutes covered. My kitchen is a very interesting mix of smells right now because I have this jambalaya going and the pumpkin, the bread is in the oven. It's got about half an hour left. I can't say it's bad though. Like, they both smell really good. It's just the smells don't necessarily go together, but I'm excited to try both of them. I know this one's a winner because I make it all the time. Okay, it's come to a light boil, or it's almost boiling. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn the heat down and simmer this for until the rice is tender, which they say is about 25 minutes. I'm probably gonna check it along the way and give it a couple stirs so that I make sure nothing sticks in the bottom. So I will check back in with you guys once this is done. Okay, this has been cooking for about 20 minutes now, and it's pretty watery. So I think I'm gonna let it cook for the rest of the time with the lid off to help the water reduce down just a little bit. So, you know, if you get the measurements a little bit off, it's no big deal. You can always add more water, or you can let the water boil off. Easy fix. It smells so good, by the way. I'm so excited to try it. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's still coming out wet. So we're gonna give it some more time. And I can also tell that it's not done yet. I'm gonna give it another 5 minutes and check on it. Most of the water is absorbed, but some of it will continue to be absorbed by the rice as it sits. So I'm just gonna let it cool off for now, and I will taste it in a minute. And I forgot to add that you wanna make sure you use low sodium or salt-free canned tomatoes, or if you're adding chicken broth, use low sodium because the box mix already has a lot of salt in it, and if you add more, it's probably going to be too salty, unless you like your food very, very, very salty. So yeah, this looks good. And the pumpkin bread is still finishing up. Okay, y'all, as you can see, the bread is finished. It has a couple holes where I just poked it to make sure it was done, but here it is. I ended up cooking it for about 15 more minutes, which I think would put me at about, I don't know, 60 or 65 minutes. And just if you're new to baking bread, this is what it would look like if it's coming out clean. So I'm gonna let that cool, and then we're gonna do our taste test. As you can see, it really did absorb a lot of that water. It's great, because we're not eating this just yet, but I'm very excited to try it because it looks like it's so good, and that sausage is delicious. Okay, moment of truth. Let's taste the jambalaya. This is so good. I love this. Let me try some of the sausage. That sausage is really good. I really like that brand. I'm going to be buying it again. But this would be so great if I added some shrimp into this. I've never done that before, but I know that would be great. But just adding the little bit of tomatoes, the veggies, garlic really amps up the flavoring. And then of course the meat. And this is such a quick dinner. You can keep all the ingredients for it in your pantry or in your freezer so that you have a meal ready to go anytime you want, like a 30-minute one-pot meal. Super easy, super good. I love it. Let's taste pumpkin bread. I'm just gonna cut myself a little end piece here. Ooh, look at that. I'm just going to try it plain first, but it is great with butter as well. I am so excited to try this. The end piece isn't my favorite because it's got like the hard end on it, but the flavor is so good. I want to try it with some butter. I know this is just going to take it to the next level. With the butter, perfect. So good. I'm so excited to eat this for breakfast tomorrow with some coffee or tea. And the thing with pumpkin bread is it gets better like after a day or two, so you don't even have to worry about it. Just heat it up in the morning with some butter and some coffee. So good. Better than Starbucks, and really wasn't that hard. So definitely a great contender for the rest of the pumpkin that I have to use. And I really don't notice any difference between using my homemade carving pumpkin puree versus using the canned stuff that you get in the store. To me, it's great. I'm sure it would be even better if I had organic homegrown pumpkins to use, but hey, this works too, and I'm happy to use it. Thank you all so much for joining me for this cooking video today in my kitchen. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope it was helpful. And I love you all. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.